89% of homeschool parents feel like frauds in their first year. But here's what I discovered in 13 years of educational leadership. The teachers who thought they knew everything were the worst educators. The ones who said, I don't know, let's figure it out together, those kids soared. Your imposter syndrome isn't your weakness, it's your greatest advantage. I'm Dr. Blake Willard, and in the next few minutes, I'll show you why feeling unqualified makes you the perfect teacher for your child, the confidence crisis that actually is destroying traditional education, and 3 mindset shifts that turn doubt into your teaching superpower. This is the Parent Educator Project. Grow yourself to grow your kids. By the end, you'll understand why your uncertainty is exactly what your child needs to become a confident, lifelong learner. Let's get into the research because this is one of those things that's going to shock you and hopefully encourage you as you work through your doubts and your confidence issues as a parent educator. Have you heard of the Dunning-Kruger effect? Well, research from Harvard about imposter syndrome has shown this effect, the Dunning-Kruger effect, which basically is the people with the least knowledge or expertise often experience the most confidence. we've, we've all met these people. They have something to say about anything. They'll give you free advice on a whim, but it's not necessarily rooted in ability or genuine expertise because usually the less you know, the more you think you know. Whereas the Harvard imposter syndrome study showed that the more you know, the more you're able to recognize all the things that you don't know. Right? It's this weird, kind of paradoxical inverse. But we need to keep it in mind when people come at us with all their expertise and all of their willingness to tell us what we should and shouldn't do. This study showed that 70% of high achievers experience imposter syndrome. You hear me? The vast majority of high achievers are the ones who are experiencing imposter syndrome. But what? They outperform their overconfident peers. That's the important distinction. Confidence is not the issue. It's misplaced confidence that's the issue. So the people who doubt themselves are usually the ones doing the best work. So if you doubt yourself, you can know that that's normal for the people who are excelling in every field. In, again, almost a decade and a half of educational leadership, I've hired tons of teachers, and I can tell you the ones who come in telling you they can do it, they can do it, they can do it, and they will just put every doubt aside. There is kind of a lack of humility, which is encouraging if you need someone who knows what they're doing and you need to fill a position. But when people are unwilling or unable, more importantly, to recognize their own inadequacies or their deficits, what it actually translates to are people who do not know how to perform in the classroom. So I've seen this a ton of times. The ones who come in cocky, it's a disaster. But the ones who come in humble are often they're that magic formula for the best teachers that the kids love, that you see progress in the classroom, you see a joyful spirit. So think about this. Teachers with 4 years of training still panic on day one. Why is that? Because even though they get years of training supposedly in teacher colleges or getting their certificates or their degrees, they only get 12 weeks of actual teaching experience before they're thrown into a classroom. So in 3 months and one day as a home educator, you will already be more experienced as a teacher than the teacher who's starting their career. So you don't need all the training, all the educational experience, because those are not ultimately the final determining factor on your success. And you've been with your kids way longer than they have. So you become a subject matter expert in the kids that you're actually providing instruction for, rather than generalized approach to a bunch of strangers, right? So which one do you think is going to be more effective? You're going to know when they're tired, when they're frustrated, when they're excited, and more importantly, when they're ready to learn. Teachers are trained to manage 30 strangers. You're designed to know one child perfectly, or maybe 3 or 4 or 5, depends on how many you have. But the important thing is you get to become the expert in your child. So stop apologizing for loving your child enough to want the best for them and being willing to question your abilities and meet that with the hard work in order to grow yourself. It's part of the reason why we're here, right? So the confident parent method offers three important components. The beginner's mind, which is curiosity over certainty. If you are a curious mind, you will learn and have the ability to learn so much more than someone who is certain about something. Certainty might as well be the same thing as fixed. And when you're fixed, you can't grow. Curiosity is a growth mindset, which means no matter how smart or able you are, there's always room to grow. I was just listening to a book on sales by Zig Ziglar. Zig Ziglar is kind of renowned as one of the best salesmen. He became a motivational speaker, but it was interesting because he was saying the best salesmen are always new salesmen. Not they have the least experience, but they're always new because they're always growing into a new version of themselves. It's the same thing as a parent educator. We're always growing into a new version of ourselves as we take what we learn and we apply it with curiosity to become something new, right? So as long as you're doing that, you're on the right path. The second part is learning partnership. You're growing together, you're not teaching down, right? And when you do this, you remove so many of the expectations that we put on ourselves as parents, and it makes the process of home education way less stressful to know, today we're going to learn about blank. Just go in curious and ready to learn. And you and your child can partner to solve the problem that you're interested in together. And then adaptive expertise is your ability to adjust based on your child's needs, right? You can see when they're ready to learn. You can see when they're hungry. You can see when they're tired. You can see when they're out of sorts. And pivoting based off of what your child is showing you, the signals that they're displaying, is going to allow you to use your expertise adaptively to generate the results, to generate the best learning outcomes possible by being responsive to your child rather than what? A traditional school, a teacher has to follow a curriculum with a timeline and certain standards, and there's really no pivoting. Not if they're following the timeline that's laid out for them. And that means a lot of kids get left behind, if not the vast majority. So you can pivot the moment you see that something isn't working. The kid's not getting it, back up, restate it, do it again. Maybe come at it from a different angle, but you're not stuck. This is that unlimited freedom and flexibility that I love so much about homeschooling that can be a little stressful for parents because you can do anything. But this is, again, this is a part of your superpower as a home educator. You're not stuck. You're not fixed. You can do whatever you want, however it best serves your family. So if you need to pivot because your child needs you to pivot, you can do so. The curriculum's not the boss. You're the CEO of your homeschool. When you say, I don't know, let's find out together, you are actually modeling being a lifelong learner. And I'm pretty sure from the vast majority of parents that I've surveyed, this is one of the qualities that they all desire the most to help their children be lifelong learners, which means you're modeling curiosity, humility, inquisitiveness right alongside your child. You don't have to know everything. You have to have the ability to learn. And if you have that ability, your child will learn that too, which means they're not stuck waiting for someone to teach down to them in order to learn about any given subject. Your child, they don't need a perfect teacher. They need a committed learner. And if you're willing to be that, you're both going to you're going to excel. It's going to be exciting. So, the best teachers are the ones who are still learning. And a lot of times, those who make their way to the classroom feel the need to be the expert, which means they don't feel like they can not know something. And again, a little academic humility is incredibly important. We want to model it to our students, but we have to live it out and demonstrate it within ourselves as well. Your I don't know is worth way more than I know everything. You don't have to know everything. You just have to be willing to learn alongside your child. You don't need to know calculus to raise a mathematician. That's a fact. Again, if your child grows up to advance to the highest levels of mathematics, it's not going to be because you taught them every single component of that math. It's going to be because you opened the doors to enable them to learn, to pursue. And again, as your kids get older, this is one of the things that scares people. You think you're going to have to teach all these really advanced subjects. You don't exactly. Yes, you will need to learn alongside them. Yes, you will need to provide accountability and support. But more importantly, as you raise independent learners, you will have developed within them the skills to pursue their own interests without dependency on someone else in order to learn. Think about it. The school system requires us to be dependent on someone. But lifelong learners don't need anyone. They just need curiosity, resources, and a willingness to explore and question things and find out when they're wrong and correct it. Continue to grow. It's, it's so much easier and less stressful too, if I might say so myself. So today, here's what I would recommend. Your implementation process. Replace I don't know with let's figure it out together. Because again, you don't have to know. And as soon as you allow yourself to not have to know everything, you open up this vast valley of freedom that you can walk through with your children as a home educator as you just begin to explore things together. That's it. Let's find out together. Take them on a journey with you, and they will be excited. And one of the cool things, if I might riff a little bit, that I saw, I used to be a wilderness educator for at-risk boys, kids with problems. They came in and lived at a camp year round. We lived outside, we ate outside, we cooked outside, we built our shelters. It was very rugged. But I didn't need to know everything, especially when I got there. Like, I spent a year just trying to figure out what I was doing. Right? But kids would ask questions all the time because we live in a natural environment. Like, what's that? And oftentimes, some bug or some animal, it's like, I don't know. Let's find out together was like the ultimate unlock. Like, especially because your kids would be excited to learn something. By asking, they're showing there's a level of curiosity and excitement. And if you will simply say, okay, and open the door and let them walk through it and then go find out, they will love you so much. They'll be so much more committed to their education. So we just go get like a nature book and we called an Audubon or something along those lines. And then we'd go look at the thing, we'd observe it, we'd find its picture, we'd find a description about it. And instead of me finding out the information and teaching it to them, we would go look and I had to allow them to find out the information and teach it to everyone else. And boy, does that build excitement when they get to be the one instructing the teacher, the leader, right? You don't have to know everything. You just have to be willing to learn alongside your kids. So again, replace I don't know with let's figure it out together. And identify one subject where you plan to learn alongside your child. There's plenty of things that you don't know. I already know this because nobody can know everything, right? So don't carry the air that you have to know everything. Just decide on one thing. Man, this is not my expertise. I don't feel a lot of confidence here. So let's make this the mission where we go exploring together. And then document your learning journey to build confidence through evidence. Meaning, when you are learning things and you're documenting them, it's real physical evidence testifying to your growth. Confidence, it's not a feeling, it's evidence. So if you want to build confidence, build documentation of the things that you're learning together. Every time you figure something out together, that's you building evidence. Your child is watching you model what it looks like to be a learner. Remember, they're going to learn from you what you model for how to grow up to be an independent learner and a lifelong learner for the rest of their life. So just, even if it's hard, throw yourself out there. Be okay not knowing everything. And the confidence will actually rise with you and your children. It's the most valuable lesson that they'll ever receive. Curiosity, confidence, unknowing, and exploration together. So you have permission as teachers to be imperfect. Perfect teachers create anxious students, right? They're constantly stressed out that they are underperforming because the teacher knows everything and they're afraid of getting it wrong. But learning teachers create confident kids because you are displaying your own imperfections and yet moving forward, which gives your children the confidence to try and fail without being afraid that that they're the worst. It's super important. It's important. Every I don't know is a doorway to discovery. You hear me? Every I don't know is a doorway to discovery. So I don't know is it's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing to not know. It's a good thing. But you as the parent educator have to be the one to reframe that for yourself and for your children so that you don't have to fear I don't know anymore. Your willingness to learn makes you more qualified than any teacher. So here's what you can do. Here's your implementation intensive. The learning log. This is your first system. Document one thing that you learn alongside your child daily. Surely there's something each and every day that you're learning alongside your child. Document that. And then at the end of each homeschool day, that's the best time to do it, right? Reflect on what's happened and then pop one thing down there. Why? Because it's going to create evidence that you're growing as an educator. This is your resume showing you that you're growing alongside your children. And it's going to build confidence through proof of progress. Again, it's not a feeling to be confident, it's based in evidence. So build evidence that gives you reason to be confident that you and your children are learning successfully. And then here's your second system, the wonder questions approach. When you don't know something, say, that's a great question. How can we find out? Or let's learn together, right? And where are you going to do it? Just anytime you're in a subject where uncertainty arises, meaning it could be anywhere, any time of the day, whether formal or informal instruction. And this is going to model curiosity, that research, again, curiosity and research skills. Again, because it starts with curiosity and then it translates to pursuing answers to that curiosity. And it takes the pressure off of you to know everything, which means your stress goes down as your confidence goes up. And your confidence rises as you are simply willing to acknowledge that you don't know, and then using that as a pivot to transition into pursuing that knowledge. So here's your third system, the expertise audit. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to list everything that you do know as best as possible. Your life skills, your hobbies, your experiences, the subjects that you really are passionate about. And then whenever imposter syndrome comes up, that's the time to go through this. Remind yourself of all the things that you are an expert in, the experiences that you have, that your children can learn from. It's going to remind you that you are uniquely qualified to do what you're doing, which is teaching your children. And then, I mean, this could be cooking as chemistry, or budgeting for math, gardening as biology, reading as literature, right? When we start to reframe subjects into things that we actually do, and these are things that we actually do, it lowers the stress threshold, helps us to see we do know things, we can teach things, as well as learn together alongside our children. It's not like you have to start from scratch. You're not both starting at zero. Your child might be, but you aren't. So it's okay to bring in your knowledge and your expertise to the learning experience with your children. In fact, it's recommended. So here's what it looks like in real life. I mean, I already shared the camp example, but to just restate, if you will just allow yourself to come up against something, to hit that I don't know moment, when your child asks a question, just say it. I don't know. That's a good question. Make sure to emphasize the fact that you want to encourage good questions. I don't know. That's a good question. Let's find out together. And then have a place or a resource in mind where you specifically go to find answers to questions. And if that question is going to take you off topic from what you're trying to do at that moment, one of my clients that I work with, she has what's called a wonder wall. Because your kids will blast you with way more questions than you can answer in any given day. But don't let those questions die. Let them be opportunities for exploring and future curiosity. So write them down somewhere. She has a wonder wall. It's a whiteboard where they just blast all the different questions that the kids have. And sometimes they can get to it right away. Sometimes they can't. And then as they find the answers, they document it. They put it in their log. They check it off. And it feels amazing to just always have something in front of you that's building curiosity and maintaining curiosity. So that, like, again, you either can or you can't at that moment. But if you can, have resources. Maybe it's your phone, maybe it's Google, maybe it's ChatGPT, maybe you actually have like an old encyclopedia set. Have somewhere that you can go to start exploring your questions and pursuing the answers, and then document what you find out together. The mistake that most parents make is thinking that they need to know everything first. You don't. I have to say it again. You don't have to know first. Learn together, literally on the spot. I don't know. Let's find out the information and then just be generous with sharing it, right? While you're learning it, read it together. Read it out loud. Have them read it to you. Have them find out and then tell you what they learned and then do further research on your own. Again, show it something that we're all doing and it's not dependent on you in order for your child to learn. The further they grow away from you as far as developing independence, the more confident and able they'll be, which means you will, as a home educator, one day, in a sense, make yourself obsolete as a teacher, but not as a guide. Your life experience is your teaching credential. So one of the things I hear a lot of people new to homeschooling and they're struggling with this confidence issue, they say, I don't have a teaching certificate or teaching credential. This is your teaching credential. This is what qualifies you more than any formal instruction from a degreed teacher, right? Because they can't offer what you can that is going to totally transform your kids. Quick pause. If you're thinking, this sounds good, but I still feel terrified, keep listening and I'll show you exactly how to build unshakable confidence through systems, not feelings. Again, systems, not feelings. Here's what I want you to do right now. First, tonight, tell your child one thing that you're excited to learn together this week and watch their faces light up. Second, I want you to complete the confidence building system, the learning log templates, and the wonder question scripts and weekly coaching to overcome each and every doubt. And to do that, you're going to need to take advantage of your 7-day free trial to the Homeschool Mastery Group. Again, this is where we provide all these things. We put systems in place and support you with coaching so that you can actually learn and implement things that will work specifically for your homeschool, right? We're going to give you templates that you can make your own, but then you get to make it your own and actually put it to action. Like let the rubber meet the road. And then when you experience a little bit of troubles or a little bit of question where you're not sure how to go, that's where you come together with our weekly coaching and you get your questions answered and figure out how to apply it specifically to your situation. Third, if you're ready to transform your imposter syndrome into teaching confidence, I have 3 strategy calls each week. So this week, I'd like you to take advantage of one of those spots. We'll identify your unique teaching superpower in 30 minutes, find out specifically what you can offer and what works for you, and then how to apply that to your situation and your homeschool. Stop waiting to feel qualified. Your child needs a learning partner, not a perfect teacher. You'll never be a perfect teacher, but you can be the perfect fit for them by learning alongside them. And that's exactly what you are. So, in next week's episode, we're going to talk about the socialization myth. We're going to expose it. Why homeschool kids are actually more social and more socially prepared for the real world, and research will prove it. So if you guys have gotten anything out of this episode, here's what I need you to do. This is important. This is important for us. It's important for you, and it's important for all the people that you're going to let know. I want you to drop a comment of one thing that you're excited to learn alongside your child, and I will personally respond with encouragement. And then I just want you to know that this mission is a byproduct of what we're doing together. So drop a like, drop a comment, share, save, and let other people know where your resource is, your secret sauce for growing together. And then thanks so much for choosing growth over perfection. Right? Your willingness to learn is your greatest gift that you can give your child. So until next time, keep growing so you can grow yourself, so you can grow your children.